This is 2 Clicks Philip. His life kind of sucks because he's always playing second fiddle to his bigger brother. And right now he's got an important choice to make. Does he want a molotov, or would he rather an incendiary grenade? Now, the incendiary grenade is a sophisticated police-spec device, crafted by professionals and bought by the finest counter-terrorist units in the world. The molotov is a rag in a bottle. But which is better? Well, the molotov, obviously. But 2 Clicks Philip doesn't know that, because he's a moron. But to his credit, he has kindly volunteered to participate in some tests. First of all, the molotov. Okay, that was quite expected. But what happens with the incendiary grenade might surprise you. See, you didn't expect that after I told you it might surprise you. Surprise. So yeah, turns out that standing in fire will kill you. Great. But I told 2 Clicks Philip that he might stand a better chance if he kitted himself up with armour first. I'm not sure why it would help, it is after all just a vest and a helmet. It's hardly going to protect somebody from flames, is it? But remember, this is Counter-Strike logic we're talking about here. So it turns out that armour doesn't help protect against fire. But it does make you think, wouldn't it be cool if Counter-Strike had some sort of purchasable anti-flame lube you could buy? Picture it now, everybody else is gearing up in tactical gear, and the guy set to spearhead a rush into bomb site B is lubing himself up Nathan for you style. You heard this suggestion here first. But until that happens, there's no way in Counter-Strike to reduce the flame damage, other than by not standing in the flames or by extinguishing them first with a smoke grenade. But you know what can help you with overheating? This video's sponsor, the FlexiSpot C7 chair with its breathable mesh design, which you can see me assembling here. This sturdy yet comfortable fabric is excellent for keeping your body at an equitable temperature. Plus it allows air to pass straight through the material in both directions. If you're anything like me, the lack of a breathable material has caused the destruction on other chairs, which are decimated by high pressure trapped pockets of air which you'd rather were harmlessly exhausted through the material and into the surrounding vicinity. Look at that! Air passes straight through this design without any damage being sustained whatsoever. Compare that with my previous chair, which I had to coat with a cover because it started to flake and I ended up all crusty by the end of a gaming session. I also have this chair right here, which isn't the safest if I just want to sit back and relax. Compared to those, the FlexiSpot lives up to its name by being rather flexible. It can have its seating angle, the back angle, its height, the head support height, its lumbar support, all configured to your heart's content. Even the armrests come with 360-degree vision. But my favourite feature is the leg rest, also configurable, but I find myself using it quite a lot, and it's transformed the way that I sit at my PC. No longer do I sit like this, being all like 2 Clicks Philip. No, now I sit like a real human being with my legs beneath the table. Fluffy loves it too. It extends my often cramped lap bed into a luxury-sized bed just for cats. It's had no trouble catering to my nearly 6 foot tall, nearly 90 kilogram mass as I writhe and wriggle about during prolonged browsing sessions. The C7 chair comes with free delivery, 60-day return, no questions asked, and a 5-year warranty. So with this purchase, you know you can just sit back, relax, all in blissful comfort. Death is but a secondary benefit of fire grenades. Both will kill somebody if they just stand in it like an idiot, but in practice this won't normally happen, not unless you're up against 2 Clicks Philip. Their primary objective is area denial, and for this, 5 things matter. The size of the area they set on fire, the duration of that fire, how much damage the fire does, how much it costs, and how pretty the flames look. The incendiary's fringe is light blue instead of purple, but the rest of the flames are also slightly more vivid and whiter in colour, and there are lots of little sparks all over the place as well. All of these will help you to identify which type of grenade has been deployed. But the biggest difference between these two grenades isn't the visual, it's that the incendiary's flames extinguish after just 5.5 seconds, compared with 7 for the molotov. Add to this the molotov's greater area of effect, and this is quite a sizable difference between the two fire grenades. Now I confirmed these endpoints by timing my entry into the flames so that they'd stop before I died, which is a bit harder than you might think due to the way that damage is dealt. Fire grenades deal damage 5 times a second. I'll refer to this as 5 ticks a second. But not all ticks are created equally, for they take a while to warm up after being first deployed. Here's a graph of the damage dealt. The first tick deals just 1 or 2 damage, it's a little bit random, but it all seems to correct itself eventually, then gradually builds up until it reaches 8 damage per tick, which is 40 damage per second. This means that getting caught in a freshly detonated fire grenade is a lot more forgiving and will give you more time to escape before the maximum damage per tick is dealt. Whereas dashing into a flame that has been deployed for a while will immediately inflict the maximum 8 damage per tick, 5 times a second. The best example of how damaging this can become is shown in this classic clip of Summit 1G burning to death.
Oh wait! What?
He had 40 health, which was completely sapped in a single second of flame exposure. Had he rushed through a freshly deployed fire, he would only have taken 16 points of damage in the same amount of time, and would have survived. And the world would never have had this epic clip to torment him with forevermore. And yes, damage from multiple fire grenades in the same area does stack, as demonstrated here. So the Molotov's fire lasts longer and spreads considerably further. What wins does the incendiary grenade have? Well, a few months ago it received an update to spread its flames faster, meaning that in a few very select cases it might be able to catch players who might have had more time to react to a Molotov's deployment. I'm not sure how much of a difference this makes in practice, firstly because the first few ticks of flame damage are very low in the first place, and secondly because even if the flames do spread faster with the incendiary grenade, they still don't reach as far as the Molotovs eventually do, so I'd only say that this is a minor advantage for the incendiary. But how do they spread? I set up this test map to get to the bottom of this. If you toss it into a tiny area, then it will do its best to escape, namely by moving the detonation point to where you're currently stood. This means you think you might have tossed it a safe distance away, only to be immediately covered in flammable liquid. Don't you just hate it when that happens? It doesn't always do this though. This is demonstrated here, where you can see that a grenade deployed in an enclosed corner won't compensate for this by spreading out further in the directions that it can spread. It simply produces less fire overall than one that isn't deployed in a dead end. In some instances, I noticed I was being burned from the other side of a seemingly solid wall, which I incorrectly assumed was due to the thickness of that wall, but it isn't. It's more to do with the height of the wall. Following some pretty basic tests where the walls jumped in 8 units of height every time, I concluded that if a wall is at least 64 units in height, then flames won't spread past it, but can still harm people stood on the other side of it. So stuff like crates, for instance, won't protect people hidden behind them from a deployed fire grenade on the other side. But if a wall is at least 80 units tall, then flames won't be able to hurt people stood on the other side of that barrier, even if that barrier is rather thin, and even if you can still see the burning effect through the wall. Actually, crates are a difficult one because the regular sort seen on Dust 2, like these ones here, won't protect you from a fire on the other side. Crates tend not to be long walls, so fire can still reach around the outside of even large crates in order to still reach people on the other side of them. The crates on the Nuke, on the other hand, are typically a bit larger, and I found players to be quite well shielded from whatever was going on the other side of them. The way flames travel unfortunately gets less predictable and more incorrect the more you try to analyse it in order to be correct. So let's keep it simple. Flames behave similarly to smoke grenades and face the same challenges where you don't want them passing through solid obstacles, but at the same time you don't want their spread unfairly hampered by small bits of debris or low walls, which would make their effectiveness rather limited in cluttered parts of the level. I think that Valve have struck a rather good balance with these things, but I would like it made more obvious in instances like this, where the flames aren't visible, but they can still harm players stood in an area. Now to see how consistent their spread is. First off, the incendiary being dropped straight down onto the floor. What you're seeing here is 4 of the same run overlaid over each other. The entire area immediately lights up in a very controlled and neat circular-ish shape. The Molotov, on the other hand, goes crazy, spanning pretty much the entire courtyard of Italy in a very messy looking shape. But at least all 4 runs overlaid over each other all look the same. So in other words, the Molotov is a messier pattern, its flames reach further, and it's just better all round, isn't it? And at least you know that, so long as you repeat the exact same setup through every time, then the resulting pattern will be the same, even if it does look a bit messy. I reckon Valve could help balance these grenades a little bit more by making the Molotov unpredictable. Sure, have flames reach out a long way in some directions, but then have other bits close to the detonation spot that it fails to cover at all. That would help balance it out against the incendiary's smaller but neater pattern with complete coverage within a certain radius. Now to test grenades thrown at more of an angle. Both the incendiary and the Molotov immediately spread out furthest in the direction that the grenade was tossed, then eventually fill in the surrounding area as the fire progresses, ending with a circle of sorts. That's pretty much all there is to say about the shape of the fire grenade's pattern really. I repeated the Molotov throw in different angles to see if there was much variance, but it was more or less the same pattern every time. Spread out in the same direction that it was thrown, and then gradually creep around to fill in the surrounding area. Looks very impressive, doesn't it? But say this scary looking fire doesn't deter hopefuls from rushing across it. I mean, look at it. You'd have to be a moron to run through fire. Here's 2Clicks Philip, rushing through fire. He did this several times, and with the incendiary he took 40 damage when rushing through the entire flamey area, compared with 56 from the Molotov. Of course, the damage will vary depending on the shape of the area covered by the fire, and even due to the fire damage only being dealt 5 times a second. On occasion, 2Clicks Philip sustained an extra tick of damage from the Molotov, chalking up 64 damage in otherwise identical testing conditions. So whatever you do, don't try this at home, thinking that just because you're on 100% health that you'll be okay rushing into bomb site B or through that bonfire at a stag do or whatever. Long story short, Molotovs inflict roughly 50% more damage than the incendiaries, thanks to their greater area of effect. Plus their flames last longer too. What about sound? Is one of these grenades sneakier to use than the other is? No, not really. You can hear these grenades getting dropped on the ground and when they're being picked up, unless you're walking, but the process of equipping and lighting these things is silent to the other team. It's only the tossing of the grenades that makes a noise. So how about that? We found a way in which the incendiary is the same as the Molotov, instead of being measurably worse. Yay! And check this out. The incendiary grenade has been precisely calibrated to explode in the air at the exact same moment that a flaming rag in a bottle would have done as well. Quality engineering right there. And now we get onto the cost of these things. The super high-tech incendiary grenades cost $500, and the Molotovs, $400. $400! How? It's a rag in a bottle. My mum could conjure up a dozen of these from her kitchen supplies. How can a rag in a bottle cost this much? But maybe my anger is misplaced. Because even though I think it's a rip-off to spend $400 on a thing of flamey liquid, it is still better than the incendiary grenade in every way, dealing 50% more damage to people running through the whole thing, it lasts longer, and even though $400 is pretty steep for the materials you're getting, it is still cheaper than the inferior alternative. But you probably don't get a warranty with the Molotov, do you? But at least you can drink it. But then we've got to consider what these grenades are used for. Maybe it's that CTs put greater value on fire grenades. A single well-timed and well-placed incendiary grenade, for instance, could foil a 5-man rush into a bomb site. It could strip several players of significant health, or squander thousands of dollars of terrorist spot utility by throwing off their timings. And that's a situation that could occur almost every round. Whereas terrorists, when rushing a site, likely use Molotovs just to flush out a specific camping spot, which may affect just 1 CT per Molotov thrown, which maybe isn't quite so valuable? But I don't know, because the moment the bomb is planted, the CT and T side uses for fire grenades is then flipped. But then this situation is less frequently encountered than a rush into a site, isn't it? So I don't know. You can make an argument for whatever, but to me it still seems silly that the CT equivalent is measurably inferior in every way. Plus the Molotovs come with that beautiful dangly tassel effect. And also the best looking liquid simulation in the game. It's gorgeous. A steal for $400. I can only really think of one thing that makes incendiary grenades better, and that's their vivid, fierce looking blue flame colours. It looks striking. It's just a shame these flames suck so much at their intended purpose. So there you have it, 2Clicks Philip. You happy with that? You can confidently choose the Molotov, whatever the occasion. Apart from that, 2Click, what are you doing? Jeez, you moron. Thanks to FlexiSpot for supporting my work and for providing such configurable ergonomic chairs. Here's the full time lapse of me making it, and Fluffy watching. Have fun!